Great job, Sherry. I told Wade that he was top seed tonight. He says, that's okay, I've been there before. So let's talk about Wade Cox, our next inductee of the Hall of Fame. Wade was one of the most successful U.S. slalom skiers in the era, racking up dozens of professional titles over the course of 2 decades. Originally from El Dorado, Arkansas, Wade learned to ski at age 4 from his dad, Larry, on Lake Recent and Kirby, Arkansas. Water skiing was a true family activity for the Cox family. Larry served as Wade's boat driver and coach, while Wade's mom, Kathy, operated the video camera at both practices and tournaments. Wade won the 1981 Junior Boys National Slalom and overall titles, the 1983 Boys National Slalom title, and listen to this, 1985 Junior Moomba Masters Slalom Tricks, Jumping, and overall titles. He had his sights on breaking the boys' national jump record, but before he could reach his goal, he suffered a severe leg injury while jumping at a spring tournament in '85. His leg had to be surgically repaired, and his jumping career was over. Despite missing the '85 Water Ski National Championships, Wade returned to compete in open men's slalom and tricks the following year, and he went on to become perhaps the most successful U.S. slalom skier of his time. He eventually made the move to professional slalom specialist, relocated to Orlando, Florida, and quickly established himself as one of the sport's all-time greats. He was a 3-time Masters champion and the 1996 U.S. Open champion. He finished runner-up at the U.S. Open 6 times and runner-up at the Masters 5 times. He retired with more than 30 victories in professional water skiing, and at one time held the U.S. national slalom record. The high point of his career was probably during the late 90s, when he won back-to-back U.S. Pro Water Ski Tour and Water Ski World Cup season titles in '95 and '96, and finished runner-up in '93, '94, '97, and '98. He won Open Men National Slalom titles in 1995 and 1999, and he earned a bronze medal in men's slalom at the 1995 Water Ski World Championships. On a personal note, I can tell you that no one was easier to interview for a TV segment on ESPN2, whatever it was, than Wade Cox. There were many skiers who, when you tried to interview them, would sort of and ah and stumble for words. Wade was like putting a quarter in and away he went. I mean, it was like, did you see what happened to me out there at 2-ball? I mean, Wade was fun because it was always real. Wade always credited the competition as his incentive to improve, and he was one of the most driven athletes of his time. Let's just say I have this affliction. I am very, very competitive, he said in an interview at the time of his retirement. I never took to water skiing just for the fun of it, even though I really enjoyed it. I think being so competitive was an absolute positive, because without that drive, I wouldn't have become the athlete I ended up being. He announced his retirement May 25th, 2008, after the 49th Masters, and he is inducted into the Water Ski Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. Let's watch the video.
When I was 10 years old, my grandmother talked me into skiing in a novice tournament in Arkansas. And I was skiing against all the guys 16, 17 years old, and I won. From that day on, wasn't a whole lot of looking back.
There's number 4, he's got to get around 5. Barely does it. He threw the ski out around the 5th buoy. All right, so there it is. Wade Cox has been awarded the 4.5 buoys, the winner of the 1996 Inmar Indy Open.
We've seen guys with horsepower, but now we've got a guy with horsepower and cornering ability. Maybe the best turns in the business on buoys 2, 4, and 6.
Cox gets past 2 buoys. He's our winner.
Well, watch number 1 buoy. Watch to see if the tip stays down or it comes up. Well, it came up a little bit, but not very long. He cranks around number 2. He's all strikes on the 3. He got around it. He threw the ski out around the buoy.
And I believe that's a big old grid I see see on Wade Cox's face down there. He pretty much has this title wrapped up. All he needs to do is get any part of 4 buoys, and he's won back-to-back titles here at the Masters.
The door's a little open. I think he's just kicking the door in, and that's going to do it right there. The champion in Indianapolis.
My first tour victory, 1989. I won St. Louis on this thing.
I'll kiss my ski out of this one. I think I'm really getting over the hump of skiing against my heroes. And all these guys are my heroes, 5, 6 years ago. And now I'm skiing against them every weekend. And I'm really getting over that edge now.
Welcome, the newest inductee in the Varsity Hall of Fame, Mr. Wade Cox. Good job.
Wow. Holy moly. So I want to thank the selection committee, Carol and CW for the wonderful volunteer work that they do. None of this would be possible. And to the award of distinction recipients, I've been able to come to this. My very first one was Ricky McCormick. Ricky's in the house. Yeah, it was a great inspiration to see him, get his induction. Was it 25 years ago now? For Larry Maddock, Bubba Watson made crying cool again, man. So we're good. If I cry, me and you, we can hug our mom, and it's all good. Bubba made it cool. So my first tournament was in Arkadelphia, Arkansas, where the 76, I think it was the 76 South Central Regionals were there, and just a little novice tournament, and we didn't know any of this stuff was out here, huh, Dad? We didn't know there was an Arkansas State Championship. We didn't know there was a regionals. We just thought our little tournament was the only thing that was going on in the world at that time. And then we went to Garden Valley in Tyler, Texas, for the 1980 Nationals. How many of you guys were there? Okay. So I saw my heroes from Spray Magazine for the first time. I saw Bob LaPointe, and he's all big and bowed up and good looking, and I was too shy, I couldn't even talk to him, and Sammy was there, and Sammy's just like the coolest guy, and he's shaking hands with everybody, and he said, "Hey man, how you doing, kid?" And that was just really, really cool. And then Carl went out as a 16-year-old and won open men's slalom, and that was really cool. It's a big deal. And then he came back in and he whipped into the dock. Remember that, Dad? He does a TikTok. And I'm like, oh, that's it, man. That's the coolest thing I've ever seen, And so that was it. I was sold. I was going to come back to the Nationals every year the rest of my life, and I still do. I love it. For me, it's it's my home base in life is just going to the USA Water Ski Nationals. I was fortunate, as Dave mentioned, in '81 to win. Not only slalom, but I won the overall, and I got second in tricks, and tricks was my dad's real love. He really thought that was cool, and I got second in tricks, and I think that's outside that little Moomba victory. There's a guy named Torrey Baggiano, there's another guy named Corey Picos. It's going to be, they beat me all the time, so I got used to losing right away. Artist Price, where is she? Is she in here tonight?
Over here.
Okay. She wanted me to tell this story. I mentioned this to Hank when we were doing a little interview that there's a reason I quit tricking and jumping. And focused on slalom skiing, for one thing, I saw him really good. You know, I was like, wow, I'm good at this. And the other thing, I was a lot better when I was skiing versus when I was riding in the ambulance to the, after the jump event. You know, how about those 72s, Carl? They weren't real good for us big guys, you know. So yeah, a little learning curve there. But I was trying to figure out, hey, how do you sum your whole life up into just a few minutes, right, Lance? It's kind of like, wow. Hey, so all these different thoughts went. So I want to start with some of the most influential people that I hung out with, and that's the guys I trained with. Because that's like once you decide this is what you're going to do, you got to have somebody that's going to ride the boat for you. Somebody's going to put up with all your complaining and all your fits and your moodiness and what have you. You guys already know this. So anyway, already mentioned Big Carl. He was just unbelievable. He took me in when I was 18 and just said this, he didn't have to sing, I just watched. That's the way to be a pro right there. So it was just an unbelievable experience. Another guy, Brett Thurley, world slalom champ. He's the one that told me that I was different. He said, you're really good. That meant a lot, You're a hero, somebody that's older than you that just said, hey, you got this. So Steve Cochran, a really cool guy, Ralphie, Ronnie Barton, my little sweetheart down there, Sully, lots of laughs, lots of times traveling, just he and I together. My buddy Dave Harvey, lots of you guys know him from Australia, had a really unique sense of humor. You could go out and train all week, just train terrible, and be so mad at yourself, and then finally go out and put it together right before you had to leave for the flight. And he'd come in and hop down the picnic table on the dock, and he'd say, mate, why don't you just do it like that all the time? Yeah, all right, yeah, I'll take that, yeah, okay. So I had to get a Dave Harvey story in there right now. And then little Dave, my man down there, he's like my little brother, and little brother never had. So he helped me relearn how to ski after doing it wrong for about 25 years, sore back and all. A few coaches, Ken Wheat, my very first coach in Arkansas, couldn't be here tonight. Ken White, obviously Whitey couldn't be here tonight, but Whitey's my man. He's one of those guys too that just told me when I was 11 years old, he goes, son, you're really good, you're going to make something. And when somebody that, it's that big of a figurehead before you says something like that, it's really cool. Sonny Berry, you guys all know Sonny. I think him and the next guy, Mike Ferraro. You guys still members of USA Water Ski or what? Yeah, active membership this year, at least. So Mike had his hands full at one point with, me, the Larson twins, Craig and Gerald Llewellyn, and Americ Bennett. So he provided a unique little playground for us there. And then I spent a lot of time skiing with Jack and Leilani Travers. They're just awesome people. Once again, they just provided just this unbelievable playground for us to go out and. So remember those jump tournaments, Jack? We'd get Glenn Thurlow, Jeff Carrington, guys like that to come over and watch all the 16-year-olds jump. And Jack had us all. I think there was 5 of us that could all break the record at any time. And I just ended up breaking my leg. Didn't ever get the record. So thanks, Jack, for that. Yeah, and Sammy, you got cut later. Yeah, how'd that work out for you? Tangy Bennett, you guys all know Tangy. He and I had a unique relationship. He's like the shortest water ski coach in the world, and we looked like that movie Twins with Arnold and the little guy DeVito, but we both could get each other mad enough that I could win, so that worked out well. And Mike Siderhout, I saw him, another inductee. Mike told me about speed on the gates. A lot of people, they West Coast slalom is Marcus and Terry, but Brett and I spent some time with Mike, and he taught me that that crucial element of speed entry on the gate, and that just completely changed my life. It was like black and white from that day forward. So what about any of you got pros out there? I know I see Todd here. Photo shoots, where it does some good stuff, some good times, you know. You get up at 4 in the morning, drive all the way across town to some lake in the dark, and you meet up with some photographer who doesn't really want to be there either, and then you end up having a really, really good time. And I don't think I saw Mark here, but Mark Cron, but we did Tom King and I did a really cool photo shoot. We were trying to redo the Joe Cash photo, the big Joe Cash, the slalom wall that's 40 feet long and 30 feet high, and everyone's seen that photo. So we go over to Lake Sibylla in Maitland, and I'm coming off 4-ball on my heel side, and we've got Tom King on the bow, another boat sitting facing in, and it's kind of a trust deal. He's trusting in me that I'm not going to let go of the rope once I hook up, and I'm just hoping like hell that this rope ain't going to break that I'm using, and I'm not going to hit the front of the boat. And so we get closer and closer. We're kind of easing into things, and then I go by Tom. I think I was at 38, and I go by Tom, and his head was about right here, and that's about 58 miles an hour. And as soon as I went by, I swore right then going through the wake that I was never going to do this again. And we got to the end, and he said on the radio, "Hey, I got the shot." And I was like, "Woo, it's a good thing, man," because we were fixing to give up on that one, I did that with Rossi one day out at your lake, remember that? And I was backing out of there in a hurry. Yeah, it was pretty scary, some of the situations we put ourselves in. Somebody mentioned alligators. Some sort of alligator joke. We had so much fun doing alligator tricks to people out of Jackson on the clinics that I would do. You guys know how to do that, right? You get the driver to talk to the skier, and the passenger slips out of the boat, slides underneath, and you got to swim all the way underneath, and then you grab onto the skier, and you try to hit their ski and startle them a little bit so the people in the boat can enjoy it more. Because you're underwater holding your breath, and then once you tapped on them and you kind of think that they might be getting a little scared, then you just grab your nails into their ankle and you just dunk them underwater. And I've almost got beat up by like 14-year-old girls and older women, and but that created some good laughs for everybody along the way. If any of you guys know, if you came out to any of my clinics or any of my water ski demos over the years, I've got a real enthusiasm for it. I love it. I love it when people get better and they get addicted to our sport. If you see me in the boat when someone runs the slalom course for the first time, it's like winning the Super Bowl. I'm screaming, jumping up and down. But that love has enabled me to meet some really cool people and establish some lifelong relationships like Rusty and Lisa and Charlie and Melba. It's been really cool. What wasn't so cool though was having to practice all the time. That training deal, you want to be good, right? Dave said all those things, right, that we're supposed to be. And optimism is one of them, right? And you're like, wow, it ain't going so good right now. It created a real love-hate relationship, I guess, for the practice. But it also taught me where to hone my skills. And on Lake Drowdy is where it started, and then it moved over to Horseshoe Lake in Chiliota, and that's where myself and Brett Thurley and Carl Roberge and Christy Overton would ski for lunch every Wednesday. And so you didn't have to pay as long as you didn't finish last, okay? But those are pretty good skiers, right? Carl's in the Hall, Christy's going to be in the Hall, Brett's world champion in the Australian Hall of Fame. So I figured out how to grind it out on a bad day, and then I had to still beat Carl. But it was really funny because somebody said something about my competitive spirit, and Christy Overton said, "Yeah, "You should see him ski for a sandwich. He'll kill himself." So that became like a, an ongoing tradition to ski for lunch. I never balked. I don't know if it's because I was tight like my dad maybe, but I never balked, And that competitive nature led to some funny stories sort of off the water. A lot of us, we had to train and do all this stuff, so a lot of us got into biking and working out, whatever you have to do to stay in shape. And so me and Chris Parrish went riding on a road bike one day, and we're almost done about a 25, 30-mile ride, and we're picking it up near the end, and we're right in the back of my lake house out there in East Orange County, and here comes the pit bull, every biker's favorite friend, So the dog's on Chris's side, and I have to be just a little bit quicker than Chris. He's not here, is he? So he can't, argue with that, I guess. So anyway, Chris is looking over his left at the dog, and I just get about a half a bike length up on him, and then he tries to catch it up, and then he looks over back at the dog, and he tries to catch up again. I scoot up just a little bit more just to keep him back there, and then we get back to the house, and we cool off and have a swim in the lake, and he says, "You weren't really worried about that dog, were you?" I said, "No, man, I just had to outrun you." It's all good. And another good story about my competitive spirit is we go to the Italian Masters in 1999, I think it was. And the Masters, Larry had already talked about Rolex, and the men's slalom skier gets a watch, and it was a really cool deal. Patrice had already won some watches and stuff, and these are the European events. So we go to this new lake, and it's supposed to be this really cool lake to ski. And Mapple and I both run 3 of 41 the first round, and then in the final, we had to both run 39, I think, just to finish in the top 5 or 6. And a lot of guys that ski real good. So we both go out and run 3 of 41 again and tie for the championship. And so I go out and run up on 4 of 41. He runs 3.5. I thought he had it too. He turned 4 and just popped the handle right before the wake. So the announcer speaking in Italian, I didn't know what he was saying, and so one of the guys said, "Hey, you won." And I said, "Okay, cool, great." And so we all celebrated and stuff, and I got my award. And it's great in Europe. A lot of times they used to pay us in cash and $100 bills. Man, that was the coolest thing, Yeah, I won. Yeah, let's go. So then they said, "Hey, we got this award for you." I was like, "Great. We're going to give you this watch." I'm like, "Oh, here we go, baby. I'm going to give me a watch now. I'm going to give me a Breitling or an Omega or a Rolex or something." Well, I get a Swatch. No offense to Italians in the house. Tony Bag of Donuts, Tony Fasciano, where are you? No offense. But you guys got cool style and all this, but I got a Swatch, okay? So we get back to the airport the next day, and I think it was Steve Cochran or something says, "Hey, Coxie, there's your watch, man. It's $40. So I still got my Swatch, though. So I guess I couldn't go really any further without talking about Andy Mapple, who we're forever linked. And someone asked me just again the other day for about the 250,000th time, maybe, if I would have been any better a skier if I'd won any more without Andy. And I don't think I would have. I think he's the best skier in the world, sort of in any event, men's and women's. Who's won that many Masters, that many U.S. Opens? So it's kind of like a little chink in the armor, when I beat him. It was like really, really cool, even though I had to get a lot of seconds along the way. So yeah, it was kind of an interesting rivalry there early on. There was Andy's camp, and then there was my camp, right? There wasn't a whole lot of crossover. But eventually we got stuck in a rent-a-car. We trained in London a couple times together. And that was like the weirdest thing in the world. And he's standing there at the same lake, like even in, not on one side of Orlando or the other, but we were in the same lake there at Princess skiing together. And And we did a couple years in a row, and then I think we figured that we actually weren't that bad of guys. We kind of liked each other a little bit, you know? And then we flew into Italy, and there's Boo Boo Alessi, Christy was there, my wife was there, we had our kids, Tim Johnson was there, Andy. We're filling all these cars up with all kind of bags, and they're like, hey, you're going to ride back there? Well, it's with Andy. It's the last rent car, the 4 I'm like, well, I don't want to ride with him. You know? And then we rode in the car and we like hung out. It was about an hour and a half. Of course, we're going about 140 kilometers, you know, following Boo Boo through these little towns and ripping through these roundabouts. And we got there, and I think that was, remember that, Andy? And I think we were like, after that, we were like, well, I don't think we don't like each other anymore. We just be buddies, and I think it'll be all good. So yeah, that was really cool. I remember that. I guess it wouldn't be a you know, proper historical note if I didn't say a couple of apologies. Some tower judges at the '92 U.S. Open on the far end of Corey's Lake. Carl won. He might be able to tell you guys more about what I said to the judges. I don't know, but we'll just move on from that. A trash can at the '98 U.S. Open right by the starting dock down there in Pensacola. A tree at Sacramento. We won't go any further than that. Yeah. So anyway, if I offended any of you along the way, I apologize. All the drivers and all the judges that were there donating their time, and I really, really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. I know Mary Gail's here. Mary Gail and Nikki Lee, they were just our two favorite judges for the pro men's slalom skiers. As long as we didn't cuss, they were fair. You know, so we just had to get on, you know, we had to wash your potty mouth out, and then you're okay. You're going to get a fair shake with them. So they understood that we were in the heat of the battle, and they were too, and we certainly love them and appreciate all they did for us. Couple of travel stories. You know, that's the neatest part about all this is I, you know, I'm a little country boy from Arkansas, and I get to fly all over the world. And I think I won tournaments in 7, maybe 8 different countries. You know, a lot of people never go to another country. Some people out in Arkansas, where I'm from, never leave the county. You know, so you know, that's actually a big accomplishment for me. So I went to all these beautiful places, and just unbelievable being in some of these small little villages around the world. But we had this one little incident out in Marine World, out at Vallejo, and Brett Thurley and I were leaving the tournament on Saturday, and we see Brett and Ton walking across the parking lot to the hotel. And it was just sort of, you know, boy's intuition. We knew exactly what we were fixing to do. He was driving. He looks over, and I give him the nod. So, you know, we get the rent-a-car up. You know, they're the highest performance cars in the world anyway. So we just floor it as fast as we can go across the parking lot. And then when we get about 40 feet away from them, we throw the e-brake and spin all out. And of course, the Larson twins about had a heart attack, and you know, they were scared. Of course, Brett and I are just busting the gut, laughing so hard. We thought it was the funniest thing ever. And then we get to the tournament Sunday morning, and we had to wear these lanyards, kind of like at Callaway, and they wouldn't let us in the park. The security judges, the security guards, they saw it and reported us. Of course, they knew exactly, it was a red-headed guy and a tall, skinny, dark guy. Okay, yeah, we know who that is. So Brett had already been making friends with the marketing director there, a nice young gal, and that helped us out a lot. And we had to grovel and say we were sorry and all that good stuff, and then they let us ski. And so, Meredith, you remember the toast and grape jelly music? Some more good, you know, some of those not so fun travel stories. You know, Dad would get us up at like 2 in the morning to drive to the middle of nowhere in Texas to ski at a tournament, and Mom would get up and make us a little breakfast, and we'd get in the car, and then I'd push my little sister off the seat in the back so I could have the whole seat. and she put up with it, and she was real good about it. And it was years and years later, somewhere, sometime, a song by Crystal Gale come on. Okay, you guys know who Crystal Gale is with the real long hair? And my little kid sister says, yeah, that's toast and grape jelly music right there. We'd get up at 2 and we'd get in the car and try to sleep, and Dad would be whistling and listen to this really bad music. So we have deep recollections of that. Another one of those really good travel stories was it was Sully and I. We're flying to Detroit, and we had to make a connector through DC. And so we get there, and all hell is breaking loose. I mean, there's 25, 30,000 people in the airport. Every flight's grounded in the whole eastern United States. Delta and United pilots were on strike. So I get on the phone with Luke from Blue Sky Travel. And so Luke says we're basically stuffed in British vernacular, because it's Friday afternoon and the earliest we can get to Detroit is Sunday night, and the earliest we can get back to Orlando is Sunday morning. And I didn't really want to get to Detroit Sunday after the tournament was over, and I really didn't want to go back to Orlando after I bought this ticket. So Luke got us the last rent-a-car at any of the 3 airports. He said, that's it, mate. No more. So Sully and I get in this tight little rent-a-car, and so I sent him out looking for our bags, because it's just chaos. I mean, it was kind of like when the shoe bomber thing, I was in Vegas, the airport shut down. So Sully comes back 2-3 hours later with all our bags, and I've got the rent-a-car sorted out. We stand in line to get the rent-a-car, because now I'm not the preferred guy. I got to stand in line, right? So, which I didn't really like to do. So I'm asking a few of these guys, I'm like, hey, how long you reckon it'll take to get to Detroit from here? And he says, about 14 hours. Well, at this point, it's about 9 o'clock at night, and we're skiing at 7 the next morning. So I'm like, well, that doesn't work. I need 12 at least. So an X&S fellow, he said, how long do you think it'll take to get to Detroit? And he says, 12. I said, all right, that's better. And then the next guy asked, I said, I kind of prompted him. I said, do you think I could make it in 10? He said, if you're in a hurry. I said, well, all right, we're going to give it a go. So then we're rolling. I'd never been through the Poconos before. So I chose to drive first, and Sully's going to take a nap, and we're listening to the Lakers and the Sixers, NBA Finals. Until we couldn't get it anymore because we're in the Poconos, and it's raining so hard you couldn't even see the front of the car. And Sully wakes up and says, who won the game? And I told him, and I think he tightened the seatbelt because we were almost getting sideways through these mountains. And then a few hours later I switch, and he's driving, and I wake up, and all I see is blue lights. And they're everywhere. It's all in the car. And I look over, and there's the cop, and there's Sully, and I said, did you get a ticket? Yeah, man. How much? 92 and a 55. I said, attaboy. Let's go. We got to get there. We did. I think we set a world record for DC to Detroit, through the Poconos, through a rainstorm. We definitely got the record there. So another one of those interesting deals that everyone's had, So a few more people I'd like to mention. Some of my buddies I grew up playing basketball with that sort of taught me that competitive spirit early. Po Boy, KK, and Cooter. Those are some good nicknames, son. I love that. Mick Neville, another really influential person. Glenn Thurlow. Will Asher, who basically ran me off the pro water ski tour. As soon as I saw him ski, I knew I needed to start looking for a job. It's simple as that. Christy Overton, just one of the sweetest people in the entire world, and I'll be the first person up here on the stage to give her a hug and kiss when she gets hers. Tommy Phillips, you guys know Tommy Slalom Shop out in Denver. He had a huge impact on me when I was young, and I was in my early 20s, and I was just all over the map. And trying to figure stuff out, and he really gave me a foundation of the way to prepare myself mentally, and repetition, and preparing for Sunday. Basically, every day of your life was to prepare for Sunday for the men's slalom finals. Mascot Boats, couldn't have done without my sponsors. They were really helpful. Denny Kidder, my very first ski sponsor. Herb O'Brien, just a huge emphasis in my life. Eddie Roberts, another one, built a heck of a lot of water skis for me. Charlie Pigeon from Tiger Boats, who was really influential in my early days and taught me a lot, as did Brett, about sponsorship, and he taught me that people like the Maloons, even though they drove a crack craft, they were really nice people, and go be nice to them. And so it was really a unique way to have Herb and to have Brett both, tell me to embrace everything. That some of you guys already mentioned that up here, what a family it is, and they just said, hey man, embrace it, appreciate it, and it'll do you good. HO, which I've got a 25-year relationship with. They paid for my table for my family down here. It was really cool. Just had an unbelievable relationship with them. It's still going on. Last but not least, my family. I know my in-laws are here. Mike and Maddie. Mike's been really cool. Been like a second dad, and he had picked me up on a bad day. After maybe Andy beat me again, or something, and he would say, you know what, son, one day you're just going to remember that you were in the show, and I really do. I have lots of great memories because of that. My mom and dad, couldn't have done without them. My dad, he gave me that competitive spirit. My mom, she had to put up with my dad and I yelling at each other, trying to figure out who was the smartest guy in water skiing. And it wasn't either one of us, so it was a losing battle for her anyway. My grandparents, 3 of them were deceased, but all 3 of them had a huge impact on me. My one that's still alive is my Granny Mae, like the most special person to me in the whole wide world. And she taught me how to ski, and she taught me love for water, and the love for hanging out at the lake, and just being on the boat. And why wouldn't you want to spend the day out with your family on the boat? So then my wife, my beautiful wife, she had to put up with me in that same competitive environment that I chose to enter into, and she was just been a rock. Could have never done any of this without her. She got to see all my insecurities, if you will, behind closed doors. I love her to death. And then there's my 2 little ones, Anne Marie over there and Davis. They're just the love of my life. And see, I told you, Larry, I'm gonna cry eventually. It's gonna come out. But I went to, it was in Fort Lauderdale, and I was about 30, so I was right, height of my career, and I'd gone out and blown it on Sunday. Let Andy get ahead of me in points. It's early in the year, and I'm swimming in, and all of my sponsors and my wife and all of my friends are going, oh, he's going to blow. He is going to blow. Y'all get out of the way. Clear the VIP tent out, because he normally goes to the end of the lake where nobody's hanging out, or he goes to his rent-a-car. And then here comes my little girl, who was, she's maybe 8 months old, something like that. She's got her 2 little buddies, her little Thai buddies, and all she wanted was a hug from Daddy. That was all good. That's all I needed, And then my little boy D, who give me another boy to play with, my best buddy. So, in closing, Mary Gail and I talked this morning, actually, over at the hall, and she said, you skied, kind of what we might consider the glory days of water skiing now, ESPN were on television all the time. Sammy, Bob, Camille, Dina, they had laid down this marketing trail, and you know, there's this big show, and we just had to go and do it. And we had every weekend of June, July, and August booked up. And it was just so much fun. I enjoyed it so much. And obviously you can tell from my emotions, it's a great honor. And if you guys want to ask Carol Lowe, just ask her what I said when she told me. It's basically about 5 minutes of silence while she's going, "Are you there, Wade? Are you there?" And so Paul and I talked this morning too about coming back, and I said, you know what, Paul, the really cool thing about this is it's not just about this year, because I got to play golf with Barbara and Scotty and on Friday, and I get to come back and do this every year, and I just think that's the coolest part of it all is I'll get to be a part of it, and I'll be here every year and get to cheer and yell and for Christy and for you know, the others that come along. It's just been one unbelievable ride, and if I left off anybody from tonight, I apologize. It was just really kind of mind-boggling to try to fit everything into this one speech, but it was really fun. Dave Benzel said, you know, before, he goes, "Hey, I know you're a pro, you know how to do this, but you know, they want to know what it means to you." Well, it really does. It just means the world, and I couldn't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart.
Stick around, talk to your heroes, talk to the folks who are here, and you know, shake their hand and give them a hug. They just love it. All right. Thank you very much. Come back next year. We will see you again.